Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan. Welcome to iRise Conversations with Joan, where we explore the stories and strategies of people who have overcome adversity and achieved success in their lives. Overcoming adversity is a challenging but rewarding process. It requires resilience, determination, and a willingness to keep pushing forward despite setbacks and obstacles. Our guest today is Fiona Demark. She is an inspirational speaker and resilience coach. She has an amazing and powerful personal story that she'll be sharing with us today. Despite being legally blind all her life, Fiona has learned to overcome adversity and to build resilience. She is passionate about sharing her experiences and helping others to overcome the challenges that they face in their own life. As a coach, she's dedicated to helping her clients build awareness and develop the skills they need to navigate this very difficult world and emerge stronger and more resilient. Whether through her speaking or through her coaching, she is dedicated to helping others to find their own path to success and fulfillment. Welcome, Fiona, to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So excited. So I know like you're all the way halfway across the world. So for me, it's Friday. For you, it's Saturday. So that's
absolutely. It's kind of like talking to you in the past. It's quite bizarre.
Exactly. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got on this path.
I grew up in a little town in the middle of Australia, literally, pretty much. I'm sure we've all seen the pictures of the red dirt and the kangaroos. That was pretty much similar to where I grew up. So little town, closest main city was about 5 hours away by driving, and so very resource poor. And I grew up in the sort of late 70s out there, and so having said that, it was really a case of kind of, thinking out of the box and really sort of, the challenges that I faced. There was nobody else with a similar disability in my age group. Like the people that had vision impairment or were blind were old people. And it was like, okay, well, I just kind of need to work this out and see how we go. And so it did mean that there was sort of, lots of times that we had to go to the big city to have specialist appointments and things like that. But on a day-to-day basis, it was very much just kind of do what you need to do, fit in as much as you possibly can, and just, you had to be resilient. And the times that it didn't work out, I didn't really have that network of supports or that understanding of, I guess, disability awareness and disability rights to be able to sort of stand up for myself. And, obviously the time was very different in the sense that, you weren't expected to have that argument either to some extent. And so it was a case of just sort of, work it out and get through it. And I didn't know any different. I didn't know that there was a reason to not do the things that I wanted to do, because it was like, okay, well, if I can do it, let's just do it. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty much the way I grew up. It was not until I was probably about 14 that I met other people in my age bracket that had a vision impairment as well. I went on a recreational camp and I'm like, oh, okay, well, there are lots of resources and things out there that can help. So that then made me realize, okay, well, there's plenty of supports in place if I want to sort of, do the things that I want to do. And so then I decided that I was going to travel to the main capital city about 10 hours away. So I went to Sydney, studied university, and decided that it was an opportunity to share my story and use my skills of overcoming adversity and facing challenges to help other people. So I studied social work. Later on, have added the I guess some natural therapies kind of stuff, and then the life coaching to that, to then sort of bring me to where I am today, where I am hopefully using my experience to be able to share with other people how they can also improve, their outlook on life, and to be able to get past the things that we all face. Like, it might not be necessarily just disability, but we're all faced with challenges along the way, and to be able to, have the right mindset to be able to overcome those things when we're faced with them.
Absolutely. And that's a phenomenal story. And I can only imagine how alone and how you felt having to navigate all of these things on your own and not really having the support system. Because again, like you said, you didn't really have anyone in your age bracket who was experiencing the same thing that you were until you were 14 and you started to meet people. So I think it's phenomenal that you were able to navigate that on your own. And now you're using your story and your experience to help other people who are facing challenges in their lives. So,
And
like,
I think, sorry,
yeah,
I think sometimes it's about, working out, you don't have a choice. Yeah. Sometimes we're just thrown in at the deep end, and it's kind of like, okay, well, you can either float or sink, and,
exactly. Yeah.
or choose to swim. And in my instance, it was kind of like, okay, well, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And yes, we all go through adversity and some people do sink. So I don't want to trivialize it and say everybody swims. Some people do just sink and it really just consumes them and that's it. They're never really able to come out of that dark place because of the adversity that they faced. But you were able to. So what was it inside of you that kept you going? Why didn't you give up? Why didn't you just say, hey, I didn't create myself. This is it. This is going to be my excuse to not have a life. And just and no one will blame you. People like, well, yeah, she's not wrong. So what kept you going? How did you keep pushing and going to get into this point where you're now inspiring other people?
You know what? I think I'm very, like, my personality is that I'm very stubborn in some ways. And so it's just like, oh, you say I can't do that? Well, I'll probably prove you wrong. So that's some of it, I guess. And I think it was a lot to do with the way, look, I mean, we are a result of the way that we are raised.
Mhm.
And in some ways it was a detriment because I was always taught just be like everybody else, fit in, do the same things as everybody else. And it actually took me a while to then be okay with the fact that, you know what, I'm not like everybody else. I've got to embrace that and take that as part of my identity and realize that there are times that I actually do need to just go, you know what, this isn't working for me, and be okay with that rather than feeling guilty or bad for not fitting in or feeling like it's a negative thing for not being able to do some of the things that other people do. But having said that, I think overall that capacity to just get on with it and if it doesn't work it out some other way was something that was taught to me very young, and that has actually built me to where I am today, because it's actually taught me to be, okay, well, I can't necessarily be reliant on other people. I need to be very independent and rely on myself.
Mm. And I think that's so kudos to whoever thought you that if it was your parents. Because I think that for everyone, not even just for people who have a disability, for everyone in the world, we need that. We need to have that instilled in us from an early age, so that you start to build that resilience from that young age. So I do know that a lot of people, like I was trying to say, people hold on to their disability and become victims of their situation. But that wasn't the case with you. You just went on and kept pushing and doing the things that you wanted to do. And there was something that you said, if something wasn't working out or there was something that you were not able to do, you accepted that and you were okay with it and you went and did something else or found a different way to do it. A lot of people are not at that point. So what advice do you have for people maybe who have a disability and feel like, I need to fit in, I need to be able to do the same thing that everybody else is doing? They get stuck in that whole victim and blame and sorry for themselves. What do you
look, it's hard. It's very hard to grow out of that when that has always been instilled into you, because you are a lot of the time made to feel guilty by, I guess, even society for not being able to do the things that other people do. And it's like, you just want to do the same stuff. And really, I think it's only been, I'm in my mid-40s, and maybe only in the last 5 years or so, I've really learnt to just go, you know what, it's not working. I'm going to just do my own thing and not be made to feel less because of that. But that's, I guess, that's the attitude that I take. But perfect example, less than 6 months ago we had a computer glitch at work. They updated the system and it did didn't work for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's not working because my, special adaptive software hasn't done the update properly or whatever. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do my job because my disability, is impacting upon the fact that, the technology is not working properly. And it turned out that when I spoke to the IT department, they went, oh, no, there was just a glitch with your computer doing the update, and it missed some of the files when it updated, and that's why that particular thing isn't working. So immediately I jumped to the conclusion that, oh my gosh, it must be because of the technology, and therefore, oh my gosh, I can't do my work just like everybody else, and now I feel bad, and, blah, blah, blah. And so it's still instilled inside of me somewhere. And I went, you know what, like that was just my, that natural reaction to go back to that. And so it is still, on a daily basis, it actually has to be a really conscious decision to go, no, hang on, it doesn't have to be this way. And, life isn't all, it's not as bad as, I can make it out to be. And, there are those times though where it still does impact.
Yeah. And you're saying it took you almost 40 years to learn how to do this. And even at that, you still fall short from time to time. So, if anybody is going through this or things happen to you and right away you start blaming yourself and feeling guilty for not being able to do the things that everybody's doing, it's okay. The key here, like you're saying, is to be aware, to be conscious of all the thoughts that are going through your mind and change it. You can switch it. You can say, hey, it's not about me. It's not about my disability. There are other ways to resolve this. It might have nothing to do with me. Like for you, it was just a software glitch. It really had nothing to do with you. And an easy fix was able to fix that. So people should be more aware. Catch yourself before you start going down that rabbit hole of blaming yourself or feeling sorry for yourself or blaming the disabled. Why can't I do what everybody else can do? Be more conscious, be more aware of the negative self-talk and the things that are running through your mind.
And and then that can be really difficult, especially when you're a young person, for example, and you are dealing with all of the other bits and pieces of creating your identity. I know certainly for my teenage years, it was an extremely difficult time. I mean, there was other things that were sort of impacting upon my life at that stage as well, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I'm trying to create myself into this person that is going to be my future, but at the same time, there is so much pressure to fit in and to meet the social norms. And I think that's a time where you really need to be kind to yourself and just go, you know what, I am who I am, and me as an individual is amazing, and I don't have to fit in with everybody else. And that's really difficult to do at that point in time in that age group, I think. So that's a really, I think it's an important time for people to take that extra care of themselves and be mindful of that.
Yeah, be kind to yourself. I agree. And yes, we're talking about that age, but I think everybody goes through different phases in their lives. So at every point in time, people should be kinder to themselves. I think we're our own worst critics.
Oh, absolutely.
Right away, we start blaming ourselves. Oh, it's my fault that this happened. Kind. Let's normalize being kind to ourselves, using nice words and not always going to the blame game. So I know that you overcome a lot of adversity. Is there one particular one that stands out for you? A really low point in your life that you were able to overcome?
Yeah, look, and I don't know whether it was necessarily, I mean, as I said, certainly in my teenage years, like there was a lot going on. So I was probably, maybe about 16 or so. So sort of, getting into the last couple of years of high school, there was a lot of pressure because, and that was pressure on myself because in actual fact, and this comes back to, Fiona being stubborn, is that I was told by, a very close family member, oh, I don't understand why you're stressing about high school. You're not ever going to get anywhere in life, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, prove you wrong. So I put lots of pressure on myself to be able to say, okay, well, I'm going to achieve good results to be able to leave the little country town that I was living in and go to university and study and make a career. And so there was the pressure to do with that. There was, I guess there was the pressure of, having a disability. There was a pressure of sort of, peer group, whatever that goes on as a teenager. And then to, I guess, add the straw that broke the camel's back in some way was that my father passed away unexpectedly. And he was probably my major support person. And so within that, I really probably should have been diagnosed as having clinical depression. Like I was in a not a great spot. Yeah. But once again, the support structures just weren't there at that time. Like, we weren't thinking about people's mental health. No. And so once again, it was kind of like, just pull your socks up, get on with it, be resilient. Bad stuff happens to everybody and move on. And so I guess, I didn't have a lot of choice. It was just one of those things that sometimes I think you have to really hit rock bottom and use that as a foundation to build yourself back up again. And I did that at the time. And I actually realized that was, I think, the point where I made the choice to say, you know what, life can be pretty terrible, but now I've got some experience and skills to be able to help other people. And that's the point where I decided that I want to be a social worker and help other people. So it did have sort of, I think every bad experience that we have in life, there's always that silver lining in the cloud. And sometimes, certainly in the moment, you can't see it. But to look back now, I mean, if I had not had those experiences and everything had been rosy and lovely, then, I wouldn't have ended up where I am today. So, we're all a product of what we've experienced in life.
Absolutely. And there are no mistakes, and every experience is leading us on our journey to get to where we're supposed to be. So I completely agree with that. Everybody goes through adversity. Everybody handles it differently. The impact on our lives, on our family, on people around us is very different. Some people have support, some people don't have support. What are some of the strategies or maybe tips that you can share with people who maybe are going through challenges right now and don't have anybody to support them? So they're where you were 20, 25 years ago. Yeah. What tips can you share today?
I think the trick is to work out what it is that will actually make you happy, or to remove you from the mindset that you're in where you're feeling sort of like that there's no light at the end of the tunnel. And generally there will always be something, but if you can kind of even create a bit of a list to be able to say, okay, well, here's my top go-to toolkit of things that will make me feel better. And it might be that you listen to your favorite music, or watch your favorite movie, or, go for a walk in the park, play with the dog. Go and do some exercise is a great one that sort of, moves people out of their mindset. Something like laughter, watching something funny or listening to something funny. There may be a friend that you can reach out to that will, be your support. Even just getting out in the community instead of sitting at home and isolating yourself. If you've got the capacity to be able to go out, and even if it's just sitting in the cafe and having a coffee and there's other people around you, you've changed your environment. You've changed that space of just kind of, being in your own little zone. And I think where you can make that change is whatever that works for you. And what works today might not work tomorrow, which is why I sort of suggest having a bit of a list of things that you can say, okay, well, today I don't feel like doing that, or it's 3:00 in the morning and I don't want to go and do some of those things. Then you've got those other fallbacks. So it's really important to know what those things are, and to have those resources available to you, so okay, well, I can now reach out to them, because it's not something you really want to think about in the moment when you're having those bad times. It's kind of like everything crashes down on top of you, and maybe you don't have the capacity to think about what's going to get you out of it. So to pre-think what makes you happy, what are the things that, really, really bring a smile to your face, and, to have those in the back of your mind that that you can tap into.
And I like that. So there's two things that you said that are very key for me. So make the list while you're in a happy place, because when things come crashing down, you're not going to remember, or you're just going to drown with whatever challenges you're going through. So make a list, and like you're saying, I think it should be saved somewhere on your phone or in a notepad, a journal, somewhere that it's accessible, so that you have that list. And make it a longer list so that you have different options. Because I know sometimes when I'm feeling down and low, all I want to do is stay in bed. But at least in bed, I can watch something funny that can get
That's
me
right.
in a
Yeah.
different. So have different options for things that make you happy, that put us. We all know what makes us happy. Like I'm sure some people are thinking nothing makes me happy. No, no, no. Everybody has something that makes them happy.
There's always
There's
something.
always
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
There's
And
always
to actually physically write it. So
yeah,
whether you're like you said, typing it into your phone or, writing it in a journal or something,
yeah,
to actually have it written is really important versus just, oh, I know what those things are in the back of my mind.
yeah,
Because when you're in that moment, you actually need, I think, sometimes to refer to something really tangible rather than, it's very easy to discount stuff. Oh, yeah, I could do that, but I don't feel like it. Where if it's written down, it seems to be, it will produce a better result. It's really interesting.
yeah. Writing things down is very powerful. So I really want to
Mm,
encourage everyone today, if you're going through a hard time or a challenge, or you're just in a happy place, now is a good time to write that list. Make that list of things that make you happy so that when adversity does show up, you have a toolkit where you can tap into some of your happy things and you can go ahead and do it and shift yourself from that mindset.
yeah.
So what happened, because you mentioned something that's very critical. You might do something today and you feel a little bit better, and then tomorrow you try it and it doesn't work. I'm one of those people who I just get discouraged. Like if I try to pull myself out of it the next day, it doesn't work. I'm just going to be like, okay, well, this is not working. I'm just going to be in bed and drink or do whatever it is I do to help me get through this. What advice do you have? Because it almost feels like you're not really tackling the problem. You're just shifting your energy temporarily. What are some longer term things that people can do to make sure that you're not just sweeping it under the carpet temporarily, you're avoiding the adversity? No, you want to get to the point where you're actually overcoming it and you're able to move forward with life, because adversity does hold people back. So how can we really move forward?
Yeah. I think the primary thing is to have goals, and this is something else to write down, and to write them down with specificity. So not just, oh, I want to go on a holiday.
I want to
Actually
be
then say, okay, I want to go on a holiday, it's to this location. When I'm there, I'm going to be sitting on the beach with my umbrella and my drink in my hand, and really visualizing that thing so it becomes, once again, really tangible. And to be able to have those goals, those things that you're working towards, and to have long-term, medium-term, short-term kind of goals, and to know that even when things come along and they're challenging, and you need to overcome that adversity and those obstacles that are put in your place, that you've got those long-term goals, those things that you're working towards. And it will then encourage you to say, okay, well, this is not ideal, this situation, whatever it is that I'm facing. But you know what? There is a future, and every day is a new day. There's always tomorrow. I can always start again. I can always keep moving towards those goals, and to, encourage yourself to be able to do something small each day towards achieving those goals will then put you back on the right path. And sometimes that thing, it might be the tiniest little thing ever, or today you just might not be able to do it at all. But then to know, well, tomorrow's a new day and I've got a possibility of actually sort of, changing something. And to really know that you are the one that has the power to change things. Nobody else is going to come in and wave the magic wand and do it for you. You're the one that's in control of your emotions and your behaviors, and no one else can influence that except yourself. And so to be able to say, okay, well, you know what? Things don't change unless I change them. And to actually then sort of say, okay, well, now it's time to keep that goal in mind. And, whether it happens to be that, some people are really visual, they might want to stick a picture up or a post-it note or whatever of something that will be the reminder, just to keep them focused.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very powerful. You're in control of your life and your future and everything that's happening. And it's up to you to make the decision to move forward, because adversity is not going to stop. We're all going to be going through stuff. But if you have something that you're working towards, then you'll be inspired to keep moving forward. So I like all the examples that you did say on how people can create your goals, short-term, medium-term, long-term goals, have something, a visual representation if that works for you, and then just keep working towards it, small steps. Some days you might not be
Mm-hmm.
able to, but other days you might be able to. So just keep moving forward. But I think having that a goal that inspires you is a good reason to want to get out of bed. Yeah, I'm in a shitty mood right now. The sky is falling, like things are going south. But if I have something that I'm working towards, then maybe I will be inspired to do more. And we all love to succeed. We all love to accomplish something, a step towards our goals. So I think that's a really, really great strategy and a way to keep moving forward in spite of whatever adversity and challenges that you're going through.
Yeah. And to celebrate those little steps as you go. So, you know, if you've managed to get out of bed and fight that adversity and, you know, although you were feeling pretty rubbish, you've actually managed to achieve something today, then, you know, give yourself the credit for doing it. Be happy, be proud, be, you know, rewarding yourself for, yes, I did this. And you know what? It was difficult, but I did it, and this is me, and I've moved on. And, you know, that in itself will keep you motivated.
Absolutely. I love celebrating every single step, no matter how small. Celebrate yourself. I love that. So I know that you talk about helping people achieve success and fulfillment. How would you measure success and fulfillment in your own life?
It's about being happy. It's about doing the things that are in line with my own values and my beliefs, and doing things that challenge myself. Like, I think I'm not a person that sits very well in one place in terms of, you know, I'm always like to be moving forward, doing things. And so sometimes those things are really challenging and I don't want to do them. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like, oh, wow, I did that. And that's fantastic. You know, a perfect example was just this morning, like I've been off to dance class first thing this morning. And you know, part of that is doing sort of, you know, some things that feel somewhat unsafe. And it was, oh no, you can do this. Like, this is fine. Like, the instructor says, this is okay. Like, you're not going to, you know, kill yourself doing this. It's totally fine. But it just didn't feel good. And I'm like, ooh. And so and I noticed then it's really interesting to consciously then think, she's got, give it a go. I did it. And I went, oh, that's yucky. And then she's like, okay, let's try it again. And I'm like, And so I distracted her by having a conversation first. And then she's like, okay, you're distracting me by conversation. She says, let's go back to doing the you know, the thing. And so I did it, and I was still like, but then, you know, I didn't quite get what I was supposed to do, but I got sort of, you know, maybe 3/4 of the way there. And I'm like, this still does not feel good, but I will continue with it, because in the end, I will be able to do that particular dance move and it's going to be amazing. But right now, it does feel unsafe. But, you know, the logic is there to say, well, it'll be fine. So just get over it and keep doing it. But, you know, and the result will be that once I achieve that, I'll be like, you know what? I pushed through it. It was a challenge, but now I'm even more proud because it was something that took that extra challenge. Wasn't easy.
Yeah. And I can already tell you're one who likes to challenge yourself. And I think that is such a good trait, a good virtue for people to adopt. Really keep pushing yourself. We all like to be in a comfort zone. Like you said, you fit in, just be mediocre, but you keep pushing yourself. And for every time you're able to accomplish something you thought you couldn't do, then that's a measure of success. That's like, I was able to do it. I did it. I feel good about myself. You know, I know it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't easy. It was strange. It was weird, but I did it. I was able.
And you've grown from that experience.
Grown, exactly. You keep growing. And I think that's such a huge lesson for everyone, to really get out of your comfort zone, be ready, ready and willing to stretch yourself. And I think it goes back to having goals, like having goals that challenge you, goals that inspire you, not just things that you know you can do, things that actually challenge you. And when you accomplish those, you're going to feel good about yourself and it will make you want to do even more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the final thing I want to talk about is, you know, people that are currently struggling today. I know that you do work with your clients, and some people might be struggling and might be thinking that they need help, but don't know who to reach out to, or whether you're the type of person they should reach out to. who are some of the clients that, what type of clients do you work with, and who do you support, and how do you support them?
It's really interesting. The way that I do things is really open to all sorts of people. So I deal with people from a business perspective. I deal with people from a, just a general, I feel stuck with life perspective. Deal with people with disabilities because I've got that lived experience. And so people feel sort of, comfortable in that space with me as well. It really is about, I think, anybody that you're getting support from, you need to have good rapport with them, good relationship, and to be able to work with them. And I tend to work with people, pretty much like we're having a conversation at the moment. Yeah, it's pretty chill, pretty relaxed. It's not like sitting down, with a therapist. I think the main focus towards what I do is move people forwards. And actually, I had a client say to me yesterday, she's like, oh, it's the most amazing thing. She says, the other people that I've worked with in the past want to dig up my childhood. And she says, then I just end up feeling terrible. She says, I walk out of the session and I just feel, like I haven't achieved anything. I've just sort of, dug into things that I didn't really want to deal with. And she said, the difference is that we always move forward with something. There's always something that comes out of our conversations in terms of something for her to think about differently or something for her to do differently, that then, she feels like it's actually going to influence her moving forward. And I think that's the best thing about the coaching stuff is it's, I do have the social work background to be able to sort of, understand the philosophy and psychology behind some of what I do, but at the same token, it's really focused on moving forward and, getting people out of that stuck place into something that is actually going to be moving into something that is going to make them happy, is going to make them thrive.
Yes, I think the key word is people who are feeling stuck, because a lot of people are feeling stuck. A lot of people are struggling. A lot of people don't even talk about what they're going through. And so if you feel like you're in that place and you've been stuck for a while, and maybe you might have tried other therapists and other counselors and it wasn't working, if this sounds like something that can help you move forward, because I think that's something that's very, very key, moving forward, not just staying in the past and talking about the past. And sometimes it's good to look into the past, but the goal is to move forward. And I think that's what a lot of stuck people are looking for, someone to help them to move forward. So Fiona is here. She can help you move forward, because you don't have to do this alone. A lot of us went through a lot of adversity earlier on in life alone. Now you don't have to do it alone. You don't have to just bottle it up and be under the duvet and decide I'm not going to do anything with my life. This is an opportunity for you to actually come out of that, to come out of whatever challenges or adversity you're going through, or whatever limitations you put on yourself because of your disability. Well, she has that experience too. So she can help you to really, really move forward and be happy. We all want to be I want to be happy. We all want to be happy. And sometimes we just need that help or that push to guide us on the right path to happiness. So
and that it's totally acceptable to, put your hand out to somebody and say, hey, I'm not doing so well. I do need some help. We all get stuck in that, what, I'll be all right kind of thing. And it's not a bad thing to be able to say, hey, I need to reach out for that assistance.
Yeah, absolutely. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay.
That's right.
To reach out for help. Reach out for help if you're struggling. So again, we might have some people who are like, I'm not ready to work with anybody. I just want something I can take away today. Today, I'm feeling very down. I'm listening to this. I'm under the duvet. Can't be bothered with life right now. What message of hope can you give to people who maybe are not quite there to reach out, but are struggling and don't want to talk about it?
Yeah. Be kind to yourself and try to catch yourself, doing that bad self-talk, and actually, be really conscious of it. Maybe you're not in a spot to be able to turn it around and, turn it into something positive right now, but even just catching yourself out of that negative self-talk and thinking, oh, what, would I say this to somebody else? Like, would I say to my sister or my best friend or, my child? Would I give them the self-talk that I'm giving myself? And quite often the answer is certainly no. And so just to be really mindful of that, and, you know, be a bit more kind to yourself. And I think to just really think about what your unique gifts are, what those things are that make you different to everybody else, what you bring to the world, because we all have something special that we bring to the world. And your something special individual gift is something totally different to the next person. And that makes you totally unique, and it gives you that thing that you can share with others. And that's part of who you are. It's what you're contributing, and nobody else can do that except you. So that's your thing to focus on and, you know, go forward with and say, you know what, I do have great stuff that I can share with others and contribute.
Oh, I love that. And as you were saying that, I was like, oh, Joan, what are your superpowers again? Because I forget. Like, I know I'm unique. I know I have unique skills and talents that I've been blessed with, but I forget. So you just saying that is making me think. So for anyone who's listening, if you haven't figured it out, go sit down and figure out, what is it about me that makes me unique? What are the gifts that I was blessed with, I was brought to this world with, and focus on using that. And like Fiona said, please be kind to yourself. There's enough hate going around. Don't hate yourself too. Be kinder to yourself and be more aware of the negative self-talk. And we hope that things improve. We hope that you're able to build the resilience to overcome adversity and move forward with your life. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Fiona, for being here with us today. Like, you shared so many tips, and I hope that it can inspire people to get out of being stuck and moving forward with their lives. And I'm really hoping that people become okay with not being okay, and they reach out for help, because there is help available. And like, you've shared a phenomenal story with us today. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So thank you, everyone, for listening to the show this week. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed it. I definitely did. And remember, you are unique. You do have special skills. Tap into that. And I hope you have an amazing week. I'll see you same time next week on iRise Conversations with Joan. Thanks for listening.